Hey guys, got some cool things to show in this video, but first I'll need to start by saying that unlike the last video, some of the things you'll see here are still a work in progress. This means that what I'm showing is still being worked on, and will be changed or fixed before the game is finished. So please bear with me if we encounter any bugs or general ugliness. So what we have here is the start of a small town. If you haven't noticed yet, I love building walls. We also have a farm, a small house, some infantry, a couple siege engines, and an underground mine. The first thing I'm going to demonstrate is how the ballista works. If you're unfamiliar with what a ballista is, I think the best way to describe it is that it's just a gigantic crossbow that basically shoots harpoons. I have two on my ramparts to defend the front gate, and another on the ground. This is the one that I'll be using to demonstrate the controls. So let's select this guy. But please remember that the majority of the user interface is still placeholder, so these ugly windows will be worked on, and are currently only being used for their functionality. While the base or pedestal of the ballista is stationary once built, the actual frame can rotate 180 degrees. I'll leave it centered and allow it to fire on its own once an enemy enters the target area. Now for the purpose of this video, I tagged this stonemason as an enemy, so let's see what happens when I have him path in front of the loaded ballista. Needless to say, siege engines will be devastating weapons, and are real endgame stuff, requiring ridiculous amount of resources to craft, but they're worth it. I don't think there'll be many enemy types that can't be taken down by a well-placed ballista bolt. The downside, of course, is that they are slow to reload and are mostly made of wood, so they burn easily. Another great defense is archers, especially with a height advantage or when using fire arrows. Here we'll examine the role of an archer's level 1 in combat. I have two archers here and two archery targets, which can be used to train and increase an archer's level outside of combat. Let's make sure this first guy is equipped, allow him to train his preferences. Now pay close attention to where these arrows are hitting on the target. Let's do the same for the second guy. He's already equipped, so let's tell him to go ahead and train. He's equipped with a short bow, which obviously means that he has short range. Let's move him forward, and again, and again. And we'll immediately notice that he's having a lot more trouble hitting the target. His accuracy is much, much worse. I'm just going to change this guy's job real quick to make him stop shooting. And it looks like the guy on the bottom has given up. Maybe he's embarrassed, or maybe I ran out of arrows. Now let's take a closer look at these targets. The guy on the bottom strung 4 arrows and only ever hit the target once, while the guy on top is just a total boss. And the reason for that are these units' levels as archers, level 3 versus level 19. Again demonstrating that a unit's profession levels are extremely important in timber and stone. You never want a high level unit to die. Next thing we're going to look at is the catapult. Great for offensively taking down walls. I'd also like to mention that all siege equipment will need operators, but that's something that is yet to be implemented. Let's load this guy up, tell it we're ready to fire, and we're given a target selector, again subject to change. This catapult is obviously mobile, so unlike the ballista we saw earlier, we can fire in any direction, but the accuracy suffers in longer distances, so be careful. And it's going to pain me to dig into these walls, but let's see the damage catapults can do to break defenses. Already tearing apart the brick with just the first shot. What I'm firing here is raw stone, the same resource that you dig up every time you mine. Now I'm going to keep going until I make a hole big enough for a unit to walk through. It shouldn't take long, as this is what catapults were made for. Had a small bug there because I got a little too ambitious with the hotkeys. Should only be a couple more. I'd probably be done now if I was better at targeting. This is usually where you'd see archers come running along the walkway to shoot me down. One of the great things I'm planning for catapults is to allow the use of several different ammunition types. Rock, boulders, flammable woods and oil, and even livestock, cows, and dead carcasses. I really don't think I'll ever run out of ideas of things to add to this game. But back to business. It looks like I finally got through this. Let's turn around, yeah. That's good enough for me. Now let's take a look over here at this small army I have. And next I'm going to demonstrate using the catapult as a weapon against units. Going to select the target, wait as the catapult turns to face the target. I'll warn you ahead of time, if you're attached to these little guys, it might be a little gruesome for you. And I'll say it again, siege engines are just devastating weapons. Let's get these other 3 guys too. This time I'll try to target the stone directly onto a unit. Maybe I'll just leave that last guy alone so we can move on to where I got the stone for all these walls I've built. I've gotten several questions about the underground view, so I'll demonstrate that now. If you played these types of games before, you're probably familiar with Z levels or hiding and showing depth. And that's exactly how it works here. This boulder structure here is actually an entrance to a mine I've built. And here I'm going to repeatedly tap the page down key so that we can see below the earth. And digging and mining I feel is the best way to acquire stone and metal ore. I want to thank you all again for your interest in timber and stone, and for taking the time to watch this video. I really do hope that you've liked what I've shown here. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time.